What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to this video. So if you remember last year, Manny Eckert from Seattle Sockeye, he did an analysis of my film from the 2023 Texas sectional. So if you haven't already checked out that video, check that out. It's really, really long, but super in-depth. Manny does a ton of analysis on my film. And I used all of that over the course of the 2024 season to hopefully, fingers crossed, improve a little bit. So that's what we've got here. This is a part two. Manny's going to break down one of the games from this past year, so the 2024 sectional. Give me a little bit of feedback on how I played, and then we're going to compare it to some of the things that we saw from that first film analysis. So if you haven't already, make sure you check out that first film analysis. And if you like the film analysis, Manny and I have partnered on a Patreon called the Ultimate IQ Library. So Manny gets on there and he does film analysis with a lot of high-level players. Manny, you had Abby Hecko on earlier this week, right?
Abby was most recent, but before Abby, I talked to Chris Cocksher. I had Will Laurie on, Caitlin Rowling from BFG, and one of my teammates, Max Cade, and Max and I went over our loss against Truck Stop at Nationals and what we could have done better in that game. So putting out 3 to 4 full length, 1 to 2 hour film reviews with a bunch of other elite players, 3 or 4 a month probably.
Sweet. So yeah, we got a ton of film review on there. Also got some like more in-depth exercise breakdown from my end of things. So if you're looking to take your ultimate Frisbee game to the next level and you want to invest a little bit more, check out the Ultimate IQ Library, our Patreon. We're gonna have that link down below. But yeah, let's get into this film review.
Absolutely. So is it cool if we start with the footage from 2023? We can see what your biggest issues were at that point, and then we can look at the footage afterwards of 2024 footage and see how you improved.
Yeah, so
Okay, great. So this is Alamode versus Brawl in 2023. We have reviewed this footage before, so this is going to be kind of a reminder of everything that we went over last time. A lot of the themes we saw before, there were a lot of issues with Justin's defense. One of them, as if anyone's watched the original film analysis, Justin got beat by the same pull play about 6 or 7 times. The exact same pull play. Like 3 people go deep, 1 person slashed across the field. Some other issues, Justin wasn't doing a great job of being aware of where the disc was. And another thing, a word that you might hear me say a lot when I talk about defense is dictation. By dictation, from a defensive standpoint, I just mean, are you influencing where your offender is going when you're playing defense? Or are they just cutting wherever they want to, wherever is advantageous to them, and you're just following along? So in the past, in 2023, I saw a lot of some people call it trailer hitching from Justin, just kind of like running behind your player and chasing them. So we're going to take a look at some of those issues in a few clips from this first game, and then we're going to see how Justin improved over the summer of 2024. So right here, let's rewind a couple seconds. So here we've got Justin coming down on this player here. And you can see that this player is now clearing out. And when he starts clearing, Justin immediately just turns his head and his hips towards this guy, has no idea where the disc is. And you can see this entire clear cut. Justin doesn't really know what's happening around the disc, which is super important because the movement of the disc informs how you want to play defense on your person. For example, Justin doesn't really get punished here for it. But if there were a quick swing here, and maybe this player went deep, then this player could come under and get a big free under right around here, right? So if Justin is not able to see that swing go up, then he's not able to react and prevent the next throw. But let's keep watching here. So now Justin's off the screen. The Alamo defense is going pretty well. They're losing a lot of yards. And let's pause right here. So here's another thing. that I noticed when we were watching this game last year is that Justin was getting tight to his player at the wrong times. So right now the disc is about probably 30 yards away on the other side of the field, and Justin is just locked into his guy right here. His hips are towards the sideline, so again, he has no idea what is happening on the majority of the field. And let's see what happens here. So because he's tight right now, then when his player makes a move to that far side of the field, Justin's like, oh crap, I recover. I got to hustle and make up that ground. And then he ends up getting beat back to this side of the field. If you'll notice, again, the disc is moving and Justin isn't aware of the disc. So kind of a lot of things are going on right here that could be improved upon. Great layout D by Justin's team right there. So I think we're going to see the same pull play that the other team ran a lot this game. And I'll point out Justin is right here, backwards white hat, right? So 3 people are going deep. They're creating a lot of space for this rail to slash across. And Justin does a decent job here getting his body in the way, right? He's making contacts, but look how he's very upright, right? Not a very stable base. And as a result, he gets turned around by this spin move. And then even though he anticipated it at the start, he still gets beat to that spot because he got off balance from that initial move. Now let's see what happens next. So his matchup, his offender is going to throw it. And then again, Justin's first instinct is just to follow. This guy is jogging deep, not actually presenting any sort of threat. And then Justin just following in deep without any vision of the disc. So if Justin were to have vision of the disc or like recognize this guy isn't really making a threatening cut, maybe he could sag out here in the lane a little more. Maybe he could set up a bracket with one of his teammates. As it is, there's a lot of space for the light team to attack, but fortunately for Allen mode, they dropped the under. A couple more clips here talking about adjustments Justin could make. And right here, so we're going to see Justin's on the mark. And then immediately after the throw, he's very upright, right? Not much of a defensive stance here. Let's watch that again. So he's on the mark. And then immediately, legs almost straight here. And doesn't really get punished for it right off the bat, but that's not really a good habit that you want to build. Whenever your person throws, especially if you're guarding a handler, maybe they're going to do some type of throw and go. So your initial instinct should be like athletic stance, ready to guard any direction that player is going to move. Let's fast forward a little more. Just I promise I'm going to have a lot of compliments for you after we talk about all this stuff. So right here, we've got Justin on this far side rail. Here is an example of some poor dictation. So again, dictation is how are you as a defender with your positioning influencing where your offense wants to go. So we'll see here that, again, Justin is pretty tight on this far side rail. This guy is far away from the disc. Justin is still playing tight, which means that this guy is able to beat him to that open side space and get a really big under, which is exactly what teams want from their pull play. So what would I prefer to see from Justin here? I'd rather see a bigger D gap. By D gap, I mean a space between Justin and his offensive player. So especially because this team has run this pull play a lot this game, I'd rather see Justin start a little farther out here in anticipation of where this guy's going to cut. And then if that offender sees that Justin is already taking that away with his positioning, then maybe he decides to pick a different option, and that would be good dictation on the part of Justin. But as it is, no D gap means a big under right off the bat. So over here, rewind a sec. So Justin is right here, right? He guards a cut. And then again, He's really tight to his guy when the disc is all the way on the other side. So I like to tell people when the disc is far away, that is, or when you are guarding the player near the disc, that is a good time to be tight because they're an accessible option, right? When the disc is farther away, that is when you want to let them drift farther away from the disc and squeeze more towards the middle of the field. So in this situation, I would love for Justin to be like over here. If this guy's a big time hucker, then maybe you still got to be aware of this deep threat. But most of the time, each given line on a team is only going to have like 1 to 2 realistic hucking threats out there. So most of the time, this guy with the disc, whoever he is, Justin, is generally pretty safe to play kind of under in this open side space. And look, this is probably the space the offense wants to attack right now. If Justin is out there in the lane, it's going to make life a lot harder for the offense. Last clip talking about Justin's shortcomings. Let's look at this. So he's on the mark, right? And then again, we have an example of after this player throws it, Justin's immediate instinct is to stand upright, right? He's pretty straight up and down right here. And his offender takes advantage of that split second and just immediately goes and gets the disc back while Justin is behind. And then he's able to throw a turnover off that. Yeah, so let's take a look at the more recent film. So that was 2023, right? Now we're going to look at 2024 and see what adjustments Justin's made based on that. Justin, do you remember doing that first film review, and like what were some of your thoughts after seeing yourself play on that video?
After the first time and then just reviewing it just now, the biggest thing I think was, yeah, I got way too locked in. And so I think I was trying to play like a one-on-one game too much instead of team defense, or even just like strategy in general. Like I feel like at all times I was just trying to do, like, I post a lot about mirror change of direction drills where you're just trying to just basically just mirror what the person's doing in the drill. And I feel like at all times that's kind of what I was doing on defense. Didn't matter if the guy, like you pointed out, if the disc was 30 yards away or if I was like actively in the lane, like I was just locked in, trying to just mirror what the other person was doing. I think you also brought up last time, like the idea of a D gap and like on stage versus off stage. And that was really eye opening to me, like understanding when my person is really an active threat and when I need to lock in, and when my person's off stage and I can have that D gap and be a little bit more in position to where they want to go.
Yeah, totally. And we can see in this next game, kind of your anticipation and awareness is just vastly improved from 2023. And to speak to your mirror change direction drills, I love those drills. I do. I mean, that's part of my workout, part of my weekly workout routine. Uh, Something that I like to do sometimes with those drills is instead of having both sides like weighted equally, if you're kind of in a race to the cone situation, one-on-one, you can weight one side. So maybe like one side is a lot easier to get beat than the other side. And that will simulate an in-game situation where typically one space is more dangerous than another space. All right, so here's 2024. All right, you can tell with the short hair. So Justin's first down on the pull, right? Immediately putting pressure onto the mark, and let's see what happens after this guy throws it, right? Justin might stand up for like a split second, but he's pretty locked in here. Pretty ready to guard any sort of move that this guy is going to make. And then as this guy is clearing down the side, right? Maybe you could have found the disc a little bit sooner, but right about here, he's glancing back, seeing what's going on. And then we see an upline goes off, and that is Justin's cue, like, okay, the offense is power position. So now this is a deep cut that I actually have to respect. So that's the value of seeing the disc when you're guarding someone. That context is really important for how you want to play defense, right? Let's fast forward a bit. Right around. Okay. Justin is coming down. He's right here. Let's look at Justin's stance here. So look at his stance. His hips are pretty open. You can see what's happening with the disc here. He's still aware of his player, right? Staying low the whole time. I like this level of physicality right here. A good time to be a little bit physical is when your player is about to cut. So I kind of like this forearm that Justin has, just kind of touching his player, not actually exerting any force. If you're pushing on someone, obviously that's going to be a foul. But if you just are making a little bit of contact with them like this, right? Kind of feel which way they're going to go. Most people would not consider that a foul. And so this is a good time for Justin to be tight, right? Because this guy is in front of the disc. This pass goes off, right? And then again, that's the deep cut that Justin has to pursue. Because of other circumstances, right? Teammates getting broken around. Justin does get beat under on the break side. I would say there isn't a lot he can do about that because he has to cover his deep cut. And then the offense just working down the break side. So let's see what happens next. One thing that I would like watching this game, I think Justin's one-on-one defense is very good, like so much better than 2023. Just one point of feedback I would have for you in this game is I would like to see you take more risks on going for poach blocks because you're doing so much of a better job being aware of your surrounding. And I can see that you see opportunities where you could go for a D and maybe be a little more risky. But you don't really do it because you tend to be more worried about your matchup. Here is one of those instances. So whenever your player is wide and shallow of the disc, so in this case, they're about like 35 yards away from the disc horizontally, right? And they're shallow, right? They're not in the deep space. So Justin is not going to get punished here with a huck. If he leaves this person, this would be a really good time for Justin to go flash in the lane, like out here, and either get a block or shut down this open under. So I would have loved, Justin, I would love to see you like run out here and then see how the thrower reacts to that. Because that could have maybe been a D, or you might have been able to stop that throw and force a backward pass instead. So we have a turnover right there. Something we didn't cover any offensive clips today, but something that I noticed last year is it seemed like Justin did have a lot of confidence in his offensive game, and I definitely saw that improve from 2023 to 2024. For example, right now this guy is poaching. So Justin is going to call for the disc. He's going to put a hand up, let his thrower know that he's ready to receive this pass. And then we get a good break mark throw off, and Justin comes down with a catch. So that's great. There are a lot of people out there who are great defenders, but offensively, when their team finally gets the block, sometimes it's like they're playing 6-on-7 because they don't have any offensive skills. So obviously, offensive skills like throwing, catching are important, but also just the ability to recognize when you're being poached off and make yourself available for a punishing throw, like Justin did here. All right, let's keep watching what's going on here. Justin, this is over here. So clearing down the far side. Let's look at this guy, right? He's doing a good job being aware of the disc. And as Justin is clearing down this far side of the field, he's still in the middle of the field because Justin isn't presenting a threatening option yet. But then as that disc swings, Justin sets up this cut well, right? He's not going to immediately blast to this space way too early and kind of erase the yards that he could gain. But he holds. Then when the thrower is ready to throw, he makes that cut. And then we're going to see a nice little lefty backhand here. Is this because he's still going to throw a righty forehand at this point?
That's correct. Even now, still can't.
That is tough. But that's an injury, right?
Yeah.
Not just because he can't throw a righty forehand usually.
Well, couldn't really that well before anyways, so.
All right. Well, that's a good example of, hey, if you're not good at one throw, you can develop another throw that maybe works in a pinch, like this lefty backhand. All right. I think there's going to be a turnover. Let's look at what happens right off the bat here. So there's injury, unfortunately. So there's a cut there, but Justin's guy is running deep, right? And Justin recognizes, hey, this mark is really flat. The mark is going no hook. So I am not going to pursue this guy deep, right? If this hook goes up, it's not going to be a very good hook. There's going to be a lot of mark pressure. Look at all these people in front of the disc as well. So I would say this is a good example of good defensive awareness. Justin's recognizing the situation. He's recognizing that he's not just going to chase this guy deep. I guarantee you in 2023, Justin, you'd probably be right next to him right now. And then maybe setting yourself up to get beat under. But as it is, you've got this nice D gap here. You recognize that throw is not going up. You don't have to worry about it. And now you're kind of just dictating this guy farther deep into this space that is inaccessible for the offense, right? And if you're just sitting under here, that means it's going to be really hard for this guy to catch an under if that opportunity presents itself to the offense. And as this clip goes on, we can see that you're doing a good job of maintaining this decap. Could even have a little bit more of a decap, but I think it's okay. And you're also doing a good job being aware of what's happening at the disc. So right here, right, you can see Justin's head is on his swivel. He's looking back and forth, or maybe looking in this area over here so he can see both the disc and his player out of his peripheral vision. And so look, Justin sees that pass go up. He knows that, well, the huck is a threatening option, but there's no way he's not in great position to help on this huck. He's got teammates back here. This under is also an option, so Justin can't really just leave his guy here. So he's just going to pursue on this under, and then the huck goes up, and that was a nice throw. But Justin did well. All right, now we're gonna fast forward a few minutes. So, okay, what's going on here? So Justin is right here, right? Just called for a switch. Now he's off the screen, back there. And let's play this out. Cool. So, not an amazing throw, and his teammate got the block. But I want to point out that Justin starts this clip by being on this far side rail. I guarantee you in 2023, Justin, you'd just be right next to your guy and staring him down, making sure that he doesn't get the disc. But in 2024, Justin is aware of where the disc is, aware of what kind of throw the offense wants to throw, which is deep throw, aware that his guy is not in a threatening position to get the disc. So as soon as that huck goes up, Justin sees it go up, and then he's going to chase it and put himself in position to make the play. But then he recognizes his teammate is in front of him and is going to get it, so he pulls up. But Justin, you're right there, and from a conceptual standpoint, that was a very good process. If you want to jump in with any remarks or questions, feel free to as well.
No, it's been all good so far.
Great. Let's take a look at this. So blue just picked up the disc. Justin is right here, guarding the 2 in stack. We're just going to let this play out for a second, and then we're going to break it down. Nice. That was a completion, fairly low percentage throw from the offense. Let's look at how Justin contributed to that high pressure situation with his defense on, well, he starts in 2 and then this guy goes to the front of the stack. So immediately, you'll notice he has a good stance, right? Knees bent, ready to move. He can also, I don't know if he's touching this person, but he can tell where they are, and he can see the disc, which is generally a good thing. And let's look at what happens there. The disc swings to the other side. This is something that is extremely important. I would say like the most important thing when you're defending against a vert stack is knowing how to orbit, right? So when you're playing defense, most people will tell you just play defense on the open side. Open side, meaning this mark is forcing backhand. So Justin is on the backhand side, right? But then let's see what happens when this disc swings, right? The mark is still backhand, or is it pretty flat here, right? But some people don't understand that you want to orbit around to the other side of your player. Thankfully, Justin does understand that. But if you're still on this open side and this offensive player or any offensive players from the stack cut under, they're probably gonna get open right here. But if Justin is out here pushing them, this is an example of dictation, right? He's influencing the spaces that are available to his offensive player with his positioning. If Justin's out here on this side pushing him farther away to the other side of the field, right, that's really limiting the options as offensive player has. Let's keep watching, right? So there is a swing back to the middle. Extremely important that Justin sees that, which he does, and he knows to react to that continuation. And here is where, even though he only had to cover like a half cut, here's where the change of direction drills are really important, right? The mirror drills. And that's another great example of dictation, right? Justin covers this really well, and then he stays tight. When your player is at the front of the stack, that is a good time to be tight because they're accessible for the thrower, right? They're not very far away from the disc. So Justin's just tight. He covers that continuation cut, and then this guy gives up on trying to get open, right? So great example of dictation. And then look at that. The disc advances a couple yards farther to this other side. So Justin adjusts his positioning to be a little farther over there. But then this is also a really good move. This other reset, or this reset, right, comes around to this side. So now what's this defender doing? He's out here on the around. Looks like the force has also changed, because Alamo does interesting things with the force sometimes. But Justin recognizes that, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to orbit back around to this open side in front of the disc, right? Because, right, it's here. And then when this pair of players goes to the other side of the disc, that makes this around really difficult for a thrower to throw because these two people are in the way, right? So Justin doesn't really have to cover that. Now he's just covering the open side. And then again, he's able to anticipate that move because he sees what the thrower wants to do. He sees the thrower look away on the resets. The thrower is looking upfield now, and Justin knows this guy is about to make a cut. And so he uses his elite reaction time and speed to shut down that option and then force a low percentage pass that is caught by the offense. But then the next throw is turnover. So great example there of a lot of things: orbiting, stance, situational awareness. Let's watch it through one more time. It's like probably one of your best moments of this game, I would say, Justin. All right, so there's one orbit.
Can I add something here too, Manny?
Yeah, you want me to pause it?
Yeah, like 1937.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, so at this point, yeah, you were talking about like you don't always want to be on the open side, and like this is an example of that. Two things, like one, I know last year you talked about like triangulating, and more in the context of like when you're guarding the reset handler, like looking at one point so you can see both the disc and your person out of your peripherals. And that was something I tried to adopt a lot this year, and, like, that's what I felt like I was doing in this situation. So even though I wasn't technically guarding a handler, like, I was almost, like, looking at the reset defender, because then I could see my person out of the corner of my eye, and I could see the disc out of the corner of my eye, which was really helpful. But also, kinda to your point of, like, the misconception that you should always be on the open side, this is something, at least for Allo mode, that, like, we talked about towards the beginning of the season, where this situation happened where I was guarding the one of the stack, and I was on the side that I'm currently on, and then a bailout throw happened twice actually in the same game, where we can imagine, like, in this case, the thrower throws, like, a big OI backhand into that far space. My person was able to catch it, and so our leadership consensus was that I needed to be on the other side because I have help from the mark. But as you can see, like, I still ended up playing it the way that I play it, in the way that I believe to be more effective. Like, what would be your um, response to that?
Okay, my opinion on that is if you play on the other side, then you are giving up a much easier throw to this space right here. And if this, you might say, well, this reset defender is in the way, but if that reset defender is out here having to cover for you, then they give up a wide open reset in the middle of the field. So, would you rather force a 30 plus yard bailout pass that floats and can be affected by the wind, and probably doesn't really gain any vertical yards? Or do you want to give them a pretty easy pass in front of the disc? I recognize that Mueller on the mark is pressuring this space a little bit, but like it's really hard for Mueller. Like this is honestly a huge window for the thrower. Um, there's no way generally the mark is not going to be able to take that all away. Mueller can't pressure the IO and the errant, like he can't do everything. So I'd say you're conceding a if you play the percentages here, you're forcing a much harder throw into a space that is farther away if you play like you are right now. And like you're still really tight on this person. So even if they do go for this bailout option, there are so many ways that it can go wrong for the offense. If the thrower is trying to throw it, this is the space where the bailout is dangerous, right?
Yeah,
So that's around where you let off the throw before. So like there's still these two people right here. So the thrower could just like throw it into this defender maybe, or maybe they're trying to throw it over this offensive player. There's a lot that could go wrong. And if you give up this backhand IO right here, it's like it's barely even a break throw because this is still on the open side, this space right here that's not behind the mark. And if Mueller covers this by shifting right on the mark, then he gives up this space down the line. So that is what I would say in response to that.
got it. Yeah, and I agree with that too. It's the percentage game. Like with that, we're forcing a lot harder throw, and sometimes that's gonna go off, and then it's gonna look like that you should have been on the other side. But yeah, they
It's also it's not just a harder throw; it's a lower reward option as well. Because if you're forcing that super long swing, the defense downfield has a lot of time to react, and they're probably gaining few yards, if at all. Maybe they're losing yards. Whereas if you give up this pass to right here, they're gaining like 8 yards right in front of the disc. If you're not able to set the mark, then you could give up a break side huck, which is really bad for the defense. Um, and so pretty much everything I would say points to you would rather force a longer pass than a shorter pass. Um, but yeah, we were watching this possession again. Okay, so now you're on the break side. You see that swing go off, so then you cover that real quick, shut that down. Then you orbit back here in response to the reset setting up on the other side, which is super good awareness. Then you recognize your guy's about to cut, so then you play tight. And then the offense, they do catch that pass, but often when offenses feel a lot of pressure, that's when they're prone to to making them more not just forced errors, but also unforced errors. Like I would call this an unforced error. This Huck. I mean, this guy had a lot of separation, but offense they're going to play worse when they feel more pressure. Um, okay, what's going on here? So you're right here, right, guarding this reset, and this throw goes up to the other side. And this is a really good example of as the disc is moving, you're aware of what's happening, regardless of what everyone else is doing on the field. Let's just look at you here. So you've got your matchup, and as they're clearing / cutting, you're constantly scanning back and forth. So you see where the disc is moving, and because you see where it moves, then you are able to play tight at the right time. You anticipate when and where your person is going to cut, and then you shut down that option, which is good. Few more clips here. Let's just watch this whole possession right here. So Gus is over here, guarding the rail, right? That was off the screen. Over here. So he's doing a lot of good stuff here I'm going to talk about in a second. Okay, so this whole possession, your stance is really good, your awareness is really good, and you have good dictation as well. So let's watch here, right? You come down and you're immediately aware of the disc, right? You see the disc, you see the rest of the field, you see the moving people, and so that throw goes up, and then this guy could cut deep, so it is pretty important that you are able to play tight on that, which you are ready to if that option does come. And he does cut deep, but you're not just going to chase all the way and then get beat under, right? You're bail running, right? Not just sprinting after him. Bail running meaning running without fully committing your hips in one direction. You chop down at an appropriate time when you recognize the throw isn't going to go up. And basically this whole time, you've still maintained a view of the disc, so you understand what's happening there. And then look, because you have a view of the disc, you see the thrower lining up, and then boom, who knows how much you did to influence this throw. But from a process perspective, you had a pretty good play at this disc. If this Huck is a foot lower, then you're just getting a hand on disc block. Even just going for it. Also, look at how high you jump here. It's getting up
Yeah,
there.
if I got that, that would have been sick. That would have been the play of my walls. Wow.
But even just going for it, I mean, you miss it by probably half a foot, or maybe like 8 inches. Even just going for it, like, it's probably going to mess up this offender. Even though that throw was not catchable, like, from a process perspective, that possession was really good for you. Like, great ability to see the disc, dictation, anticipation where your offense is going to go. Basically, all the stuff that was lacking the year before showed up in that possession for you.
Just got to do more workouts with the Sky Trainer. Use code TOBU10, 10% off. Get my vert up.
Yeah. Okay, let's watch this one. Okay, I right off the bat, I like how you're starting in the lane, and then your guy gets looked at, and then you're getting tight. So this point, I think we see a couple poach opportunities. Here is one of them. So I love poaching from the B resets. B reset meaning the reset that is 2 away from the thrower. So here's the A right here. Here's the B. Poaching off the B reset can be really powerful because the offense in this position wants to throw it to and under in the middle of the field. And you can see your teammate gets beat under here, right? If you flash in the lane right now, first of all, you could easily get a block on that. You just gotta remember to look for it, basically. And also, the thrower, it can be difficult for the thrower to immediately just throw it to your guy and punish you. Because look at this other defender, he's right there. And so these players are sometimes in the way of this B. And it's also like, you don't even have to run that far to stop this throw. If you take like, You open up your hips to the thrower, take 2 shuffles over, 2 or 3, then you're either going to get a block or you can stop that throw from going up. And if you stop it from going up, then you're still close enough to your guy that you can recover and stop his reset cut when he makes one. So that's the option I would have loved to see him go for. But still playing good one-on-one defense here. And again, same situation. So your guy is the beat, right? Not very accessible by the thrower right now, because these 2 players are in the way. So what are we going to see here? Right, you have awareness of the disc. You've got a slight D gap, but I would love to see you come out farther into the lane. Although this time your teammates do a good job of preventing that pass. Now you're going to A, so you're playing tight, which makes sense, right? Because if you sag in this position, then you're giving up a free reset and a give and go probably. And great thing from your teammates. Notice how he was on the far side. He saw the disc early, right? He knows the offense wants to throw it through the middle of the field. He recognizes that and just attacks it. Taking a look at your mark here, I probably want you to be a lot flatter. Maybe not completely flat, because there is some space between the disc and the sideline, but you can definitely, when you're on the flat side, meaning you're forcing back to the middle of the field instead of towards the sideline, you can do a lot with your mark there. But I would say your stance is a lot better than last year or 2023 when I noticed your mark was you were a lot higher up usually. And this is the last clip I have to look at. I think this clip is going to look really good for you. So Justin's right here, right? Nice. So just totally locked down D there. And look at this, right? This frame is really important. Justin sees what is happening regarding the beat. Really important to see what the A is doing. Sees that A clearing, and then he knows that he has to pursue. He sees where the thrower is looking. And then let's look at this, right? He's got his hand out there. At this point, he's just mirroring. Like, this is a great time to just mirror and face guard when you're guarding a reset that's really close to the disc and the thrower doesn't really have a lot of space to work with. And so Justin's just mirroring right here, not giving any separation to the offender, and then he's got his hand out there causing chaos. The thrower tries to put something out there, and it is just not there. Yeah, so those are all the clips I've got from these 2 games. I feel like the growth is pretty evident. What do you think?
I agree. I feel a lot more aware, and I think even just it seemed like the big theme that you were mentioning was just that it's almost like I've leveled up to now not just being aware of like what my person wants to do, but now what do other people want to do, like being able to step into the lane for a poach and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think your awareness has gone way up, like just knowing where the thrower wants to throw it. Most of the time, the offense at any given point is probably looking to attack like 1 or maybe 2 spaces on the field. So if you, as a defender, or anyone who's listening or watching to this wants to get better at defense, if you can figure out where the offense wants to attack at any given moment, you can be so much more efficient and effective with how you play defense.
It definitely, yeah, to your point about efficiency, like it definitely felt a lot easier too. I remember points in 2023 where I'd get off and have to go lay down because I was so tired, and that felt like validating. I was like, oh yeah, I did my job, like really locked my guy down when he was 40 feet away from the disc or 40 yards away from the disc, but now I felt like I could play a lot more points this year. Felt like I could play like back-to-back points, or that Riverside game we were just watching, like our kill line played 3 points in a row, and each one was like a marathon point. And so it was super, super tiring, but like just being able to play point after point after point, um, felt a lot easier because I was playing smarter, not harder.
Yeah, totally. Offenders, I think I mean, even up to the nationals level of Frisbee, like waste a lot of energy making cuts that aren't really viable. So, like I was saying, like if you determine where the offense wants to attack, you can figure out what you have to guard and what you don't have to guard and save energy in those instances, then have more energy for when it matters. Of course, the smarter your offensive player is, like the more poaching, squeezing of space you do, the riskier it is because as the offense levels up, like they're going to be way more likely to punish you for not playing tight.
Yeah, and that's kind of the progression I started to notice, like, especially when I do play against higher level players. It's like they just never stop moving, and so I feel like it's really easy to be aware of both your person and the disc when my person's stagnant, but when they're yeah, when the other person is just a really dominant cutter that just moves really well, clears well, like takes me deep, comes under like that. That's I feel like the next progression of like being able to still be aware while my person is athletically kind of like on that next level.
Exactly. So you're definitely still going to have some points if you're guarding better and better players that are totally exhausting on defense. But, if you're playing smart, then they're going to be equally as exhausting for the offense.
For sure. Um, well, cool. Manny, thank you for the breakdown. Like I said, super helpful last year, super helpful this year. Like, just a quick disclaimer for everybody. Manny kind of gave me this breakdown on the Riverside film before regionals. So this was between sectionals and regionals. He gave me this breakdown. It was super, super helpful. I thought a lot better when we played Riverside, but also all the other teams at regionals. So yeah, Manny, thank you again. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so. I think that was pretty thorough.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, once again, if you guys are interested in more film analysis, we've got a ton up on the Patreon. I know Manny does some one-on-one stuff as well, so we'll have his contact info down below. But otherwise, thank you guys very much for watching.